go straight away to CFAM, please. The floor is yours. Yes, please.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and dear colleagues, because of CFAM's mission, I will highlight two egregious violations of the right of persons with disabilities. First, we call on states to put an end to eugenic abortion as well as eugenic screening and genetic manipulation of embryos. Over 90% of children in utero diagnosed with Down syndrome are killed before they can ever delight us with their smile. In Nordic countries, it is nearly 100%. Several nations continue to develop eugenic abortion programs that screen for disabilities, targeting those deemed inconvenient or a burden. Increasingly, these eugenic aims are also being pursued through genetic screening and manipulation. We urge states to abolish these inhuman practices and to assist mothers and the family with up-to-date evidence-based information about disabilities, including information on treatment options, support services, hotlines, and other relevant resources. Second, we call on states parties to protect persons with intellectual disabilities from sex-rejecting procedures. State parties have an obligation to end these experimental medical practices. In recent years, thousands of vulnerable children and adults have fallen prey to an industry that commodifies personal distress for profit. In America and around the world, gender medicine has pushed experimental, unproven sex-rejecting procedures such as puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgical procedures that mutilate and permanently scar vulnerable children and adults. A recent comprehensive review of sex-rejecting procedures commissioned by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services found that gender dysphoria disproportionately affects girls with autism by a factor of 30 in some studies. Moreover, it found that persons experiencing gender dysphoria have a higher rate of comorbid mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, suicidality, self-harm, and eating disorders. This has been documented across the world. The report concluded that there is no evidence that sex-rejecting treatments are effective. On the contrary, a host of short and long-term adverse effects are likely to result from sex-rejecting procedures, including infertility and sterility, sexual dysfunction, impaired bone density development, adverse cognitive effects, cardiovascular and metabolic disease, psychiatric conditions, surgical complications, and not least of them, regret. Considering this, state parties have an obligation to explore alternatives to pharmacological and surgical treatments for gender dysphoria, including mental health care and psychosocial services. Thank you.